One of the greatest stories I've ever experienced in a video game was in NBA 2K11, which is a weird thing to say because that game doesn't have an actual story mode, and yet it delivered a story and experience that wouldn't be out of place in a sports movie. So of course we're talking about my career, and obviously going into this I was excited to be able to take control of my player and see what it would feel like to play for my favorite team. In my case that's the Lakers in front of a packed house at Staples Center. For those who remember, 2K11 starts you out with two draft combine games which determine where in the draft you might get selected. Now this was maybe the second basketball video game I'd ever played, so I was, and still am to be honest, pretty terrible at it, and my player absolutely stunk it up in those two draft combine games. I mean, if your team was selecting this player in the draft, something was very wrong with your organization. While it isn't possible to go undrafted in 2K11, my player got drafted as late as possible, and I found myself down in what back then was called the D-League, playing for a team called the Mad Ants. So, you know, I was about as far away from that Staples Center dream as I could be. Understandably, I wasn't exactly thrilled about the idea of having to play for this team I'd never heard of against a bunch of other teams I'd never heard of in these small arenas that all looked the same and didn't have a name. So my goal was to get to the NBA as soon as possible. I was thinking that it'd take me maybe 5 to 10 games. I kid you not, that shit took me 2 full seasons of playing every single game. I was genuinely that bad. But you know what the best part about it was? When I eventually did get the call up to the NBA, I kinda didn't want to leave the Mad Ants. Sure, I was excited to get to play in the big leagues and get to experience all that, but these were my boys, you know? And it was sort of bittersweet to have to leave these guys behind without, at the very least, having won a championship with them. If you were to ask me what team I ended up playing for in the NBA, I couldn't actually tell you. When I think back to my career in 2K11, I think about my time with the Mad Ants, because that's the story. It's a story of this young player who expects to be an NBA superstar, but instead gets a reality check and has to earn his place and find his way through 2 seasons in the D-League. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. NBA 2K11 did this without a script, without a single cutscene, but you can't tell me that doesn't sound like the plot of an at least half-decent sports movie. Fast forward to my most recent experience, which was 2K23. Straight away I'm playing for the Lakers. I've got a bunch of random people telling me how I've got to take over the city, and they've got me out here doing some skateboard minigames or something like that. Let me tell you something. I couldn't give 2 shits about any of these people. Take me back to the Mad Ants.